All right, welcome to The Explainer. So picture this. It's March 15th, 2026. Hollywood's all gathered for the 98th Academy Awards. But what happened that night? Well, it was way more than just handing out statues. It became this huge, crucial battleground in the industry's big, messy fight with artificial intelligence. So, right out of the gate, host Conan O'Brien just dives right in. His opening joke hit this perfect mix of laughs and, nervous tension. It just completely captured the elephant in the room. Yeah, it really made you think, was he joking or was this a sneak peek of what's to come? And that, right there, sets up the big question for us. I mean, think about it. Hollywood has always been about new tech, right? So why, on its biggest night, did AI suddenly feel like the villain of the story? To get to the bottom of that, we've got to look at the rulebook. Okay, so to really get what was going on that night, we need to jump back in time a little bit to April 2025. This is when the Academy basically tried to get out in front of this whole AI wave. They put together a new playbook, a set of rules to try and manage how it was being used. So they rolled out this new standard, and it's called Human Creative Authorship. The whole idea here was to give voters a kind of North Star to follow. Basically saying, hey, technology is totally fine, as long as a real person is the one calling the shots, the one steering the ship. Okay, so what's really interesting here is how nuanced this rule was. See, it wasn't a ban on AI at all. It was officially defined as just a tool, like a camera or some editing software. The whole point was to put the spotlight on human creativity. But, and this is a huge but, it didn't force studios to tell anyone if they were using AI. It was kind of like this don't ask, don't tell policy. But, just writing down some new rules wasn't gonna magically make everyone agree. Even with this new playbook, the industry was just completely split. It was like a house divided right down the middle over what AI even meant for the future of movies. And this, right here, shows you that divide perfectly. On one side, you've got the VFX folks. For them, machine learning was just the logical next step after decades of digital tools. But then you look at the writers and actors. I mean, these are the people who fought tooth and nail in the 2023 strikes. For them, AI wasn't just another tool. It felt like an existential threat to their jobs, their art, their very likenesses. Even the Academy CEO, Bill Kramer, basically said, yeah, nobody can agree on this. So let's look at the timeline, because this is where things really start to heat up. The whole year leading up to the Oscars was just a total powder keg waiting to explode. In January, you've got the Department of Justice questioning laws that protect actors. Then, in February, the Actors Guild kicks off some really tense negotiations. And check this out. June 30th was the big one. That's when the contracts for the actors, the writers, and the directors were all set to expire. All at once. Talk about pressure. So you've got all this human drama simmering, right? And then a totally new kind of player enters the game. Not a person, but an AI pundit, designed to just ignore all the drama and predict the winner using cold, hard data. Yeah, a bunch of data firms basically just unleashed their AI models on this one problem. They fed them everything you can think of, how many nominations a film got, box office numbers, marketing spend, all of it. The whole goal was to forget about all the buzz and the chatter and just mathematically figure out who was going to win Best Picture. And what's crazy is the machines pretty much all agreed. 3 out of 5 of the big AIs all pointed to the same movie, Ryan Coogler's vampire epic, Sinners. And why? It was pretty simple, really. It had a record-breaking 16 nominations. That signals huge support from all over the Academy. The data just made it look like a lock. The safe, logical bet. But, and you gotta love the irony here, while everybody was arguing about AI as this big, scary threat, it was already being used, quietly in the background on some of the biggest movies. In The Brutalist, it helped tweak accents for a complete unknown. It was used to help a stunt double's face look more like the stars. These were really subtle, practical uses. AI being used as a tool, which is exactly what the Academy's new rules were talking about. All right, so the stage is set. We've got the rules, a divided industry, and the machines have made their pick. So what really went down when they finally opened that last envelope? Well, it turns out the Academy voters, they completely ignored the algorithm. Yeah, in a move that felt like they were trying to send a message, they gave Best Picture to Paul Thomas Anderson's big political saga, One Battle After Another, not the movie the data picked. And it wasn't just Best Picture. One Battle After Another pretty much stormed the whole night. walking away with 6 Oscars, including those big ones for Best Picture and Best Director. It really felt like the human element came out on top. So, what was the message the voters were sending? Well, it was pretty loud and clear. First off, genre films, which usually get ignored, had a huge night. And big tech? Yeah, they were basically the punching bag all evening, from the streamers to AI. But most importantly, the night was all about celebrating human artistry. I mean, you had Autumn Durrell Arkapa's historic and frankly long overdue win for cinematography. Just an incredible moment. The whole feeling of the night was summed up perfectly by Will Arnett. When he said this while he was presenting the award for animation, the place just erupted. It was this massive collective cheer, a real roar of approval for picking human artists over computer prompts. So, in the end, the 98th Academy Awards really felt like a referendum on AI. Hollywood made a choice. They decided to celebrate the human touch and push back against the machine. But let's be real, that night was just one battle. The technology is only getting smarter. And that leaves us with the biggest question of all. A line was definitely drawn that night, but was it drawn in stone, or was it just drawn in the sand?